Nobody tells you that independence can become a wound. It doesn't look like one. It looks like strength, like maturity, like someone who's figured out how to handle life without leaning on anyone. But there's a version of independence that didn't come from confidence. It came from necessity, from a childhood where help wasn't available, or wasn't safe, or came with strings you couldn't afford. And the child who learned to do everything alone grew into an adult who can't stop. Not because they don't want help, but because their system treats help like an allergen. The moment it gets close, something in them rejects it. This is the help allergy, and every habit on this list is a symptom, not of strength, of a nervous system that learned to flinch at being helped. And for each one, we're going to name the behavior people admire and their relational cost it's quietly charging you. Because too independent isn't a badge, it's a bill. A quick frame. Independence is healthy when it coexists with the ability to receive. When you can do things yourself and let someone help. When you can be strong and lean. The two aren't opposites. They're supposed to be partners. Too independent means the dial got stuck on one side. You can give, but you can't receive. You can manage, but you can't share. You can survive alone, but you can't thrive with someone. And the reason the dial is stuck isn't personality, it's protection. Your system learned that depending on someone was a risk, and it decided the safest move was to never depend again. What makes this a wound and not a trait is the cost. Every habit below protects you from vulnerability. And the same protection blocks the intimacy, trust, and co-regulation that relationships are supposed to provide. The help allergy keeps you safe. It also keeps you alone. Number 1. Someone offers to help carry something and you say, "I've got it," before your brain has time to consider the offer. The habit. You carry your own groceries, your own luggage, your own emotional weight. Even when hands are literally extended, even when accepting would be easy and natural. Your arms are full and your mouth says, "I'm fine." The cost. People stop offering. Not because they stopped caring, but because you trained them. Every declined offer teaches the people around you that you don't need them, and over time, they believe it. The circle of people willing to help quietly shrinks, not from rejection, but from the consistent message that your independence broadcasts. I am not someone you need to worry about. Number 2. You spend hours solving a problem yourself before it even occurs to you to ask someone who knows. The habit. You Google, you troubleshoot, you experiment, you fail, and retry. All before the thought of asking enters the picture. Not because you're proud, because the neural pathway for ask someone was never built. The route from problem to person doesn't exist in your system. The only route goes from problem to self. The cost. Nobody knows you're struggling. The people in your life see a person who handles everything, and they assume the handling is effortless. They don't check on you. They don't offer. Not because they don't care, but because you've made the struggle invisible. And invisible struggles don't get support. Number 3. Someone offers to pay, and you insist on splitting. Every time. The habit. A friend says, "This one's on me," and your hand is already reaching for your wallet. Not because you're being polite, because owing someone, even in the smallest way, produces a physical discomfort. Receiving without immediately reciprocating feels like debt. And debt feels like danger. The cost. You can't receive generosity. You turn every gift into a transaction, every treat into an obligation. And the person offering starts to feel like their generosity isn't welcome, that you'd rather keep the relationship even than let them do something kind without conditions. The bill is always split, and so is the intimacy. Number 4. When something hurts, you take it to a room, close the door, and process it alone. The habit. Breakups, losses, disappointments, grief, all handled internally. You don't call. You don't vent. You don't let anyone see the wound while it's fresh. You emerge when the worst is over, composed and managed, and people find out days or weeks later what you went through. The cost. Nobody gets to be there for you, and being there for someone isn't just about them. It's how relationships deepen. When you let someone hold something with you, the bond strengthens. When you process alone every time, the bond stays at the level of good company. Comfortable, enjoyable, but never deep enough for the person to say, "I've seen you at your worst, and I didn't leave." You've never let them get that close. And the people who love you carry a quiet frustration they can't always name. They want to be closer, but every door you close to heal alone is a door they're standing outside of, waiting. Number 5. When you do let someone help, you micromanage every step. The habit. You delegate a task and then hover. You write out instructions that are longer than doing the task yourself would have been. You check their work immediately. Not because you're controlling by nature, but because handing something over without controlling the outcome feels like free fall. The cost. People feel micromanaged, not needed. They feel like tools being operated, not partners being trusted. And eventually they stop volunteering. Because being helped by you feels like being managed by you. The independents didn't delegate. It just hired a contractor and supervised every nail. Number 6. You organize trips, events, finances, and schedules alone, then present the finished plan. The habit. You don't co-plan. You solo plan. And then inform, not to be controlling, but because including someone in the process feels slower, messier, and unpredictable. Planning alone is efficient. Planning together means compromise, and compromise means losing control of the outcome. The cost. The people in your life feel excluded. They feel like passengers, not partners. A friend or a partner who is never consulted in the planning eventually stops feeling like they're part of your life. They're just following the itinerary. And the relationship stays functional but shallow because the planning is where trust is practiced, and you never let anyone practice it with you. Number 7. You decline help before the offer is even complete. The habit. Someone starts to say, "Can I?" and you're already waving them off. The refusal is faster than the offer. It's reflexive, not considered. Your body intercepts the help before your mind can evaluate whether you actually need it. The decline happens at the nervous system level, not the decision level. The cost. You've trained every person in your life that you don't need them. And when you finally do need something, really, genuinely need it, you don't know how to ask, and they don't know you're asking. Because you've spent years building a reputation for not needing, and reputations are hard to reverse in a crisis. Number 8. You keep a running balance in every relationship, and you make sure you never owe. The habit. If someone does you a favor, you repay it immediately. If someone gives you a gift, you match it. If someone helps you move, you're already planning how to return the debt before the last box is carried. You live in a state of relational zero, never in surplus, never in deficit, always even. The cost. Relationships stay transactional. Real closeness requires imbalance. It requires letting someone give more than you return, sometimes. It requires owing, not as a debt, but as a trust. I receive something and I don't need to repay it on a timer because this relationship isn't a ledger. But your system can't let the ledger be uneven, and a relationship that's always perfectly balanced is a relationship that's never fully trusted. Trust requires an open tab. It requires letting the ledger stay uneven and believing the other person won't weaponize the difference. Your system can't do that yet, so it keeps paying on time, every time, and calls the constant repayment responsibility instead of what it actually is, fear. Number 9. When you need soothing, you reach for solitude, routine, heat, food, anything except another person. The habit, you take the hot shower, wrap yourself in the blanket, scroll the phone, go for the drive. Your entire comfort system is built for one. There's no pathway that says, call someone. There's no reflex that says, let someone hold this with you. The soothing is effective and entirely solo. The cost. Intimacy stays shallow, because the deepest form of intimacy isn't romance or shared experiences. It's co-regulation, the act of being calmed by someone else's presence. And if your system only knows how to soothe alone, you never give anyone the chance to be that person for you. The relationship is warm, but it never reaches the layer where someone's presence in your hardest moment is the thing that settles you. You settled yourself. Again, alone, like you always have. Number 10. The thread that ties everything together. You would rather carry something you can't carry than ask someone to share the weight, because being a burden is the worst thing you can imagine being. The habit, you minimize, you deflect. You say, I'm fine, so automatically that even you believe it sometimes. And when the weight becomes genuinely unmanageable, your first instinct isn't to ask for help, it's to carry harder, to manage better, to shrink the need until it fits inside a body that was never supposed to hold it all alone. The cost. The people who love you feel useless. They want to help. They see you struggling. But every time they reach for you, you pull away. And the message they receive over and over is, you are not needed here. Not because that's what you mean, but because that's what the help allergy transmits. And the loneliest version of this is when you finally break, not from the weight, but from the exhaustion of refusing to share it. And the people around you say, why didn't you tell me? And you don't have an answer. Because the truth is too old and too automatic to explain. I didn't know I was allowed to. The burden you were trying not to be was never a burden at all. It was a bid for connection, and the people who love you have been waiting for you to make it. If you recognized yourself in these 10 habits, I want to reframe one thing. The independence you built was real. It worked. It got you through things that would have broken most people, and you should be proud of it, the way you should be proud of any survival system that did its job under impossible conditions. But a survival system and a living system are not the same thing. Surviving alone is a skill. Living with people, really with them, not just beside them, is a different skill. And it's one you were never taught. The help allergy isn't who you are. It's what you built when help wasn't safe. And it can be unbuilt. Slowly, one accepted offer at a time. At Inner Lens, we look at the things people praise and ask what they're made of. If this one resonated, the next video follows a thread from the same root. The quiet signs you over-apologize because of your childhood. It's right here.